And we are back with another long one. Since I've had time just, working, freelancing a little bit, I throw on some shows, some movies every now and then, just to kind of pass the time. But I've kind of gotten infatuated with my 600-pound life. I don't know what it is, but sometimes, dude, some of these people eating like 10, 15,000 calories a day, dude. That's like wild, man. It's honestly like super impressive when you really think about it. Because if you're like full on slobbing out, right? Like say you're like, yo, I'm gonna eat 3 meals today and they're all gonna be like the worst things possible. Like you might be breaking like 4,000 calories. Like say you crush like some morning pancakes and then you do like what like for lunch. Say you do like a Philly for lunch and some ribs at the end of the day. That's about like 4,000 calories or something. So you literally have to be crushing food all day to even come close to that. It also reminds me, man, this guy I used to work with at my the old factory place I was at, or dude, he'd buy like these like they'd give us a voucher for work shoes, right? And he would always like spend extra to get like way better shoes. Like this guy was easily pushing like maybe like a good 350. Like maybe he was in 400. I don't know, but he was I was definitely taller than him, but he was definitely pushing like 350, 400. But he would buy these like nice work shoes, and he would just tell me, he'd be like, oh, my ankle, it's always so sore. And I he's like, these shoes are actually supposed to be really good, they shouldn't like screw up on me or get worn out. And what I was looking at, dude, like really big people, man, they like their feet, like their shoes like kind of bow, like so like think of like the like if you're like your right foot, right, the side of that foot is like it like pushes over, like it's tipping on the side. So like the bottom soles just get kind of like, instead of the flat part of the shoe being the actual shoe, it's like the side of the shoe kind of becomes the bottom part of the shoe. And he's like, ah, man, he's like, you work out and do stuff a lot. Like, can you tell me like what's up with my ankle? Like, is it like I'm moving weird? I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, I didn't say this, but I'm like, dude, you're like 400 pounds and you're like walking around for like 8 hours or so a day. Like it's just, I don't think your ankles are just meant to like withstand what's going on, or even like the shoes, man. But I really didn't say anything. I was just like, oh no, man, that's just kind of crazy. And man, like he'd always be like hyped about his steps. And like, dude, I like this guy a lot. He was kind of weird. He was an older guy. Maybe I think he was around like his late 40s, but he played like tabletop games, Dungeons and Dragons style type of shit. So he kind of like had like a youthful personality, right? But he would be like, "Oh, yo, I did like 6,000 something steps or something like that." But dude, this guy would walk into work with like a full on case of like some random like cherry soda or like some like this super sugary soda, dude. And bro, he would crush that thing in like a day or two. I'm just like, bro, like your steps don't even matter. Like when you're like crushing like 700 grams of sugar a day, man, it's kind of like it defeats the purpose. Granted, I'm happy he's getting some movement in there, but I mean, regardless, he's just kind of just doing his job essentially, right? Fortunately, this guy I think COVID ended up like taking him, but he was an all right guy. I kind of felt like he was just like a one of those people you could tell that had damage at some point and they never really quite grew up the way they maybe should have. Because he like when he I found out that dude was like almost 50 years old, I was like, whoa, like he really just didn't carry any type of energy like that, right? But anyway, what can you do, man? Like, a lot of people that are around that age or something like that just they're not really in tune, I guess, with game. He was like a gamer, he played tabletop, just kind of like a little bit of a nerd type, which, man, that I get along with that completely fine. The one thing I just don't like about people that are, I mean, it doesn't really matter the age for it, but dude, there's some people you meet that like work is like their only personality. Like not even the job, just like working. Like if you don't have just you're not just putting in what like 95 hours a week, they kind of just talk shit or just look at you like you're garbage. That reminds me of this one girl, Valerie. Dude, she was a temp that came on, and I think she had like maybe like two other jobs or something like that coming in. And man, she was like, hey, if at the time when I was like a machine operator, this is where she was at when she was at this job when I was like, working maintenance or whatever. Man, one time I was like, like my job is to like stand, like and just like make sure all the machinery's running properly, right? Dude, she would see me just standing there, just like looking over the equipment, and then she would just kind of start like talking shit about how I should just be like also doing like packing work while I'm like fixing shit. I'm like, I'll step in every now and then if someone needs like help with something, but I'm not getting paid to do like two other fucking people's jobs, dude. And I remember this lady, man, she was maybe like 5 foot tall, and she was just like angry, bro. She was like, well, my daughter, she works super hard, and I work super hard too. I work on Meals on Wheels. I do all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm sure you've traumatized your daughter into slaving as much as humanly possible. Like, it's one thing to have a good work ethic and just to do your thing, but why you gotta be just passing judgment on anybody? It's like, dude, you're working fine. Everything's going smooth. Just relax. It was funny because she was maybe there for I want to say she was only there for a few days because she was like popping off like, oh, I'm gonna run this whole place. I'm gonna own this whole place. Everybody like doesn't work hard enough. And then dude, like they did like random drug tests on all the temps, and she just like walked out saying that she was gonna fail. I was like, dude, you fucking idiot. Like really, she needs to go leave and smoke, dude. Like 'cause she's just fucking angry, bro. I don't know what's going on. It's like it really baffles you when you just want to enjoy your life or you're happy with your life. You're like, I like spending time at home with my, my partner or just, doing a little craft of my own. And you tell them shit like they're like, what? You don't want to die working in the fields? But dude, that also reminds me of another man. This was something, I feel like I can learn stuff from a lot of people, man. I remember I was like super desperate for a job. This is way before I even worked at the like the factory place I was at when I was a machine operator. I worked at a Pizza Hut for a while, dude, and I desperately needed that job at the time because what had happened was I had a friend that was trying to line up a job for me, but she was just kind of like really disorganized and kind of screwed me out of something. And I just like, whatever, I just got to get work now. And it was a real whole ordeal. But so I get on at this like Pizza Hut, right? And one of the managers, I guess he'd be like I guess he'd be the GM. I'm not really sure, but he was like, I guess like maybe the head manager. I think he was. This guy Jason, man, like he was like a perfect example of like what I just didn't want to have happen to me, right? The guy had, he had like a daughter, and I think he only had one kid, but he had recently, I think literally the week I had started, he was on honeymoon with his recent wife. And she was I think she was like a nurse or something like that, and she like owned her own house. And I guess Jason had just the manager had just married this girl, right? But the way he would kind of talk like about her and her stepson that lived with them was just kind of like it just didn't make any sense to me because I guess his the stepson was kind of just like a nerdy like just kind of indoorsy type of person. And I don't know, there's something about it that he just like really didn't like him, and you could just tell, which doesn't really make much sense. Like if you're getting married to somebody and their kid lives with them, like I feel like that's something you want to like that's something you need to put like interest in or put stock and be like, oh well, that's something that either I like it or not, whatever. But this guy's already marrying her. I think they were maybe together for like a year or something like that. And I even remember this guy like how he'd talk about his wife. He'd be like, well, I only pay the utilities because she owns that place and she's paying mortgage. And what if we split up, then like I'm out of money from just paying her mortgage. I'm like, dude, like even if you rent a place, you're probably paying off someone's mortgage, dude. Like like landlords, that's like a pretty typical thing. And it's like you're not paying her, you're just paying someone else, dude. Like that's not really neither here nor there, right? Like, and I don't know, that's just weird to kind of treat someone you just got married to like a literal roommate. It just seems weird to me. Like, but anyway, like, long story short, I end up how I left there. I felt kind of bad about it, but dude, I hated that place so much. I actually could have done okay if I didn't have to close. Dude, closing was an absolute hell for me. And it was it wasn't that bad at first, but man, it just started getting more rough and I just started getting more tired of it. And I actually started this is when I started working at oh man, where was it? I felt like I was bouncing around like two jobs at that time because I was getting steady work at Pizza Hut, but the pay was so fucking bad, dude. I remember like losing my mind and just being like, dude, like if I could make $9 an hour here, I would be so happy. And he was just like, well, I can't offer you anything like that. It's just like you gotta do this, that. I'm like, dude, I'm making 725 right now, dude. Like it's just looking back on the whole thing, it's just like kind of wild. But at the time, I really needed the job, so it was whatever. But for that Jason guy, man, I really watched him. I really watched life just kind of happen to him, right? There's just people, I feel like there's people that life just happens to them. Unfortunate things happen and, shit like that. But I feel like you got to take a stand at some point. Like, if you're really unhappy with something, at least make an effort to, like, take a couple of steps in that direction, or a direction that you feel that make your life a little bit more favorable in your benefit, right? But he would just never take any account of anything like that. The dude wasn't living like a harsh life. He had a partner, like, they're both working. Like, he was like an amazing manager. He was like a really nice guy. But dude, I just saw life happening to this guy, and I was just like, dude, like, I can't let you know life just happen to you like that. Like, just having it, like, he obviously had like a crazy marriage. He told me he had a crazy marriage beforehand, and then here he is jumping into another marriage with somebody he's barely even known for like a year. I just think that's weird. So, like I said, fast forward before, but go ahead into the future. This was maybe, I'm trying to think. This was like right before COVID. So maybe 20, I think it was actually 2020, 2021 maybe. And one of our friends, she's having like a little birthday party get together kind of thing at this like one of her friends' place. And it's like a nice little setup, right? And she invites a lot of people because she used to work in like the food industry, and she knows like she did a lot of pizza stuff. So a lot of people were like delivery drivers, like some managers and stuff like that. And while I'm there with my girlfriend, we're just, mingling, hanging out. I see Jason. I'm like, oh shit, dude. And how I left that place was one day I had a shift coming up, and I was just like eating some Mexican food across from the place that I was supposed to go. And I was like literally just gonna, eat my food and then just like hop over to work. It was like across the street. And I remember just sitting there with my roommate. I was like, dude, I absolutely fucking hate this job. I was like, I don't think I can do it, man. And he was just like, dude, just quit, man. Like, he's like, you actually already still have like another job that you're working part time. He's just like, and the one that I was working paid like a lot better, and I enjoyed it better than the Pizza Hut job. So I just called in and was like, hey guys, I'm not coming in. And I remember Jason was like super bummed out. I was like, dude, I can't do this. Sorry, man. So I see him again at like, a couple years later, few years later at this party. I'm talking to him like, hey man, sorry, I like kind of bailed on y'all like that. I was like, I just couldn't do that work anymore, man. I'm sorry. And he's like, oh no hard feelings or whatever. And I'm talking to him like, oh, like how's your wife doing, and your daughter and all that stuff. And he's like, oh well, I got a divorce. And dude, the lady, he had some girl with. He's like, this is my girlfriend. And dude, this girl, like, oh man, dude, like, I didn't want to be disrespectful because like we're like smoking, hanging out. But this girl like looked rough, dude. Like, holy crap, compared to his the wife that he was with when I was working with them, she was like a really normal person. But dude, this person seemed like she was borderline homeless. Not anything wrong with that, but dude, she just looked rough. Like, dude, she's got like teeth falling out, dude. She's got kind of like scabs on her. And I'm just like trying to be nice, and like, they're smoking and it's going in rotation, and I hid it from her. Like, I kind of like just like tried to barely, like, I was trying not to put my mouth on it. I was just trying to inhale a little bit. And I was just like, oh, thanks, whatever. Just like took it one time, and I was just like, oh man, dude. I was like, I don't know, just like smoking with strangers, and it's just like they seem like they got kind of gnarly like oral like hygienic problems, dude. I'm like, ah, man, I don't know about this one. But anyway, like, he was like asking me like, oh, what do you guys do? I was like, oh well, my girl's an artist. I just kind of work for myself essentially. We're just came by this little party to see our friend, whoever it was. But dude, it just kind of stuck with me. I'm like, here this guy is just letting this life just happen to him, dude. Because I just knew that marriage wasn't going to last. The way he was like talking, I was like, dude, why'd you get married to this person? Like, there's no need to actually do that. Like, I don't know. Ultimately, I felt bad for the guy, but it was just a learning lesson. I'm like, oh man, dude, I gotta just not let life just kind of rub you down to a nub, man. At least go down with like a swinging chance, for your freedom, man, or for a life you at least want to somewhat enjoy. He was a really nice dude, and he was a really good boss for sure. But man, I kind of think back, like, some people that, I don't know how to put this. They use niceness as like a way to like gain leverage. Like, they're not actually nice. It's like it's so hard to put this into words for me. It's like they're being nice for like alternative motives, right? Or something like that. Or maybe they're trying to manipulate you a little bit. Or it's just weird. I bring this up now because we recently got some new neighbors downstairs, right? And at first, they seemed really nice. Like the guy is actually pretty chill, but the lady that is there is just seems something's off, dude. Because when I was coming up one day, she was asking me like, "Oh, do you guys work third shift?" I'm like, "No, we don't. We don't really work like shifts or anything like that. We're just kind of usually always doing something, to be honest with you. So, and we pretty much just kind of do it on our own time to get it done." And I told her I kind of just pretty much work from home, and then my girl is an artist. And she's like, "Oh, okay, yeah, cool." And so, I go back up to my apartment, don't think anything of it. So, me and my girl, we figure like, oh shit, we've not kind of hung out or done anything in like maybe a little while. We've just been working on our grind or something, or if you will, whatever you want to call it. And so like we decided to go out on a nice little sushi date, grab some sushi. I'm gonna grab like a couple of beers, and so we're coming in after a nice little sushi date, and the neighbors, they're like, we're coming in, they're leaving, right? Like they're getting in their car leaving. Now the guy that's downstairs with her, he's pretty chill. He doesn't really say much. He just gives like a nod, like how's it going. But as they're getting in the car and we're like trying to go into our apartment, she's just like, she starts kind of popping off a little bit, and she's like, "Well, I thought the soundproofing would be a lot better in this place." We're like, this is like pretty much, it's like one big house sectioned off and like three or four apartments or whatever it is. This is a pretty big place. I was like, this is a 1 bedroom, like, deal. It's like nothing really special. And we're also like, yeah, dude, we hear other people too. Like, and it's not even that loud. You might hear like a muffled something every now and then, but it's like, we've been here for so long, we don't even pay attention to it. And dude, this lady just keeps repeating, "Well, I could hear you all weekend," and she just keeps saying, like, she just kind of keeps saying that, and we're just like, yeah, it is it is an apartment with, you got like 2 apartments above you the way it's laid it out. It is what it is, and we just kind of go inside, and I've had a few brewskis, and I'm like, dude, what was that all about? That was kind of weird, right? Like me and her are looking at each other, like my girl, and I was just like, yeah, whatever. And also the thing is, dude, we're not really loud people. Like throughout the entire day, I'd say from morning till like 8 p.m., I'm pretty much like the only person in my apartment. Dude, I've got my headphones on. You might hear me, like I play Counter-Strike, or I'm maybe playing something where I talk to people every now and then. But honestly, I'm dead silent the entire day. And when my girl gets home, like maybe we'll play some like Fortnite, or we'll hop on Discord and like talk to each other if we're playing games or whatever. But it's that's about the limit it takes. And maybe our cats are making some noise, but nothing like to be like, "Holy shit, what the fuck is all this noise?" And what was really weird, after, and I think at first maybe they're just like super early morning people, and they go to bed at like 8 p.m. or something, whatever. But not long after this, man, it would be like 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and we're just sitting here, like, or I'm sitting here, and my girlfriend's either on the couch, or like on her phone, or she's playing games too. Dude, they're like hammering stuff into the walls. Like, see, they're under us, so like, they're like hammering something in the wall, so you can feel like it's like, you'd have to be hitting something kind of hard to feel like the vibration a little bit. And normally we don't, hear shit like that. I'm like, dude, how are you gonna sit here and like tell us that we're being loud or something like that? You're like fucking doing like demo work in your fucking like downstairs apartment. What's going on here? And why I kind of bring up the being nice thing at first, because this lady's like talking to everybody, like trying to get their numbers and stuff. And dude, look, you've been here for like a month. I'm not gonna give you my number, much information, especially after we had this weird kind of interaction with you, right? But I remember I'm coming back from like Aldi, like a grocery store or whatever, and I'm bringing in like 80 pounds of groceries, and I've got like a big roll, like, or a big package of paper towels, and I've got my other arm like full of like bags. Like I'm like walking up our stairs. It's like a kind of a walk, and she's like, "Hey, where's that place where you work? Or how do you get your online job or whatever?" And I'm like in the midst of like carrying all this shit in my apartment, like I'm like, Jesus Christ, lady. And I'm like, well, like I work with like AI and stuff like that. And she just like looks at me like super crazy. And she's like, "Oh, what is it?" And I like kind of tell her, I'm like, yeah, I was like, but to land the job, you have to have a bachelor's degree. Like it's like the main thing on their side. They like, I think it's something they did recently, and they purged a bunch of people that weren't. So I say that, and she's just like, "Well, what school did you go to? What degree did you get?" And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, and there's a difference between oh, let's have like a casual conversation and shoot the breeze. But I felt like I was being like interrogated, right? Like it wasn't like I'm from the South, so the small talk conversation, like it's pretty common down here. So like, it felt like I was being like drilled, like grilled on like an interrogation style. And she's like writing it down on her phone. And I'm like, what's going on here? And so I'm like, are you literally just about to like go to school for 4 years? Just like, I don't know. It just seemed really weird. And when she's asking like what school and my degree and stuff, I was like, are you trying to like steal my identity or something? What's going on here? But it turns out I'm pretty sure she was asking me like if we worked third shift before is because I guess she was like hearing us or something. I don't know. Or like maybe she's trying to figure out stuff about us, but dude, just like mind your business, dude. Just like live your life. Like anyone else that ever moves in new and we just see, we're just like, oh, hey, how's it going? And just leave it at that. Like keep it nice and cordial. I'm not looking to have like a super personal relationship with the neighbor who's just lived here for a few weeks, right? It just seems kind of, and they have like a little, like I don't know if they're like on drugs or something, but sometimes they seem a little cracked out, dude. And also, I think it was like yesterday, they were like, we have like a big dumpster out there that's like I guess for pretty much like the whole apartment area or the whole house of the apartment, whatever you want to call it. And dude, they're like dumpster diving the other day, and I'm like, dude, I don't care or whatever, but sometimes like when you throw away like documents or something like that, it makes you like feel like, oh shit, dude, I should have definitely ripped that up more or something like that when I see people going through the trash, right? And speaking of that, that reminds me of another neighbor I had years before but maybe it was like 4 or 5 years ago, probably a little bit longer than that. This other spot I was living at, man, old trash lady, bro. We called her trash lady because she went all around the city, like constantly digging in garbage. Like she was like, it was that Muppet like Oscar the Grouch dude. Like she was like living, she was just like always digging out of trash cans. So the thing was, like the lady had kind of a nicer car, right? But it turned out, man, she was a hoarder, like big time hoarder. And she had like maybe like 3 or 4 cats that were always outside, and they were really sweet cats. Like we were really cool with them. But we found out one day, I don't remember what happened. I don't know if she heard us like talking shit about her, because sometimes, dude, it was just weird. Like she would like dig through all the trash and just leave all the shit out in the like the little alleyways. So there's just like garbage everywhere. Like she'd take stuff out and just like leave the rest there, and it was just like kind of annoying. So we're like, oh, whatever, this lady's crazy. But one day, what I'm dude, it was like this was back when I smoked cigarettes. And I remember I woke up and I was having like a pretty good morning, and I think I brewed some coffee up. I like I'm like updating like a game or something I'm about to play. And I'm like, dude, let me get a cig in real quick. So I go outside with my coffee, and I'm just like maybe like 9 a.m., 10 a.m. I'm smoking a cigarette, having my coffee, and that lady comes up and she's like, hey, I know y'all don't like me. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? And she just like says some crazy shit. And I'm like, what the fuck was that about? Well, she just kept being kind of weird. And she only said that like maybe once. And then we just kind of tried to avoid her like at like all times. But beside her, like directly adjacent to her apartment, they're like townhouses. So like right next to her townhouse was this old Vietnam vet guy. Dude, he was like such a G, bro. He drank like probably a case of natty like a day, and he just had like a busted leg, real old guy. But the guy was cool as hell, real nice. You could just shoot the breeze with him, really chill dude. Well, I'm sitting there. This is actually why we were chatting with him. This lady had moved out her stuff, right? She was moving because not like she wanted to move, dude. She was getting evicted because they would have like maintenance people come over. I think they had a plumber that wanted to come by and do something, but dude, they couldn't do anything because all the shit in her house. And like, so the plumbers would be like, yo, like, I guess they'd report back to whoever owned the place, and they're like, we can't even get in there. There's like so much shit everywhere. And so I'm chatting with the old Vietnam vet guy, and he's like, yeah, man, she's finally getting out of here. I've lived next to her for 8 years. She's always like really kind of fucked with me, and done a bunch of just like foul shit. I'm like, wait, what? Really? I was like, I thought y'all were cool, because I would see him sometimes, right? Like she'd be leaving, he's walking out, and she would just, they'd say like, oh, hey, or something like that to each other, right? Well, it turns out he's like, yeah, man, she poured sugar in the tank of my old Chrysler and all this stuff. She's like, she would call the cops on me all the time for just random stuff. And she's like, you probably didn't know this, but the cats you see out here are her outside ones. She has 18 cats on the inside. I was like, bro, what? He's like, oh yeah, he's like, it's bad. He's like, it smells so gnarly in there. And she's like, all the stuff that she has, like, I remember when she moved, she had like one of the biggest U-Hauls you could get, like the actual vehicle. And dude, she filled it up with bags of cans. Like it was like a currency to her. She had like bags and bags and bags of cans, dude. Like it, one entire haul was all like aluminum cans, dude. It was crazy. So in my experience so far, the correlation with how much trash they fuck with and how nice they're gonna be are kind of just related to some degree. But anyway, aside from that, I feel like this new neighbor thing might, hopefully it just stays at bay. Don't have to worry about it, but I'll fill y'all in if things start if the plot starts to thicken. But that's why I kind of felt suspicious about her asking me about all this stuff. And like I said, it wasn't coming up in casual conversation. She was like interrogating me. I'm like, well, if I start have a credit card like open up and I don't know what the fuck it's about, I'm gonna might assume it's them. I don't know, dude. But also, I've also been down this rabbit hole, dude. Getting sucked into TikTok, not just TikTok, but watching like Karens getting beat up on TikTok, dude. That shit is like exhilarating. Like it like tickles that like primal like lizard part of your brain where you just like see simple justice happen. It's so wild. And you see some of these ladies, like what was the one I saw? This lady is just like telling someone to go back to their country, like because they just they were, I don't know what it was. I think it was because that the worker there was like couldn't keep selling them lottery tickets or some shit like that because they had like a line. So they're like, hey, you're gonna have to like let me handle these other people, then I'll deal with you again. And she's like hollering at him, and then tells this other woman to like I don't know, just start screaming slurs at her. The dude, someone just like knocks her ass out. I'm like, dude, like how do people like get this far, man? Like you have to have like zero stimuli happening in your life and like zero meaning to get like that worked up about goofy shit like this. It's just mind blowing to me. I think some of my favorite ones are when they start beef, like they're just starting shit. They like open someone else's car door. I'm like, dude, like I feel like at least a significant amount of like if you're like in Texas, I feel like you could get shot. Like it's just like it's completely okay. Like what are you doing? Dude, I really feel like if some of those people just like someone needs to take people who do that shit and just like hit them with a large dose of like mushrooms, dude. And they just gotta sit there, just whoa, just like let the earth, like their environment, like just like creep up into their mind, like, oh, why am I doing all this? They look at their hands, like, is this reality? They just like, I don't know if they're like true sociopaths. Maybe they just like wouldn't feel bad about it, but I feel like some of them they would like some things that like once the psilocybin started creeping on the cranium, dude, they just start having flashbacks of you know when they were fucking what like 20 years old and like lied to a cop about some like minority doing some shit, and they're like, what have I become? Dude, I don't know. I think the closest like carrot encounter I've ever had was probably, dude, I was like in high school. Like, so we had this thing, I don't know, it's maybe it's just because I was in like a school that no one really gave a shit about. And it was just like a rural school. But like, if you were like a senior, you just didn't really have to do anything unless you just like failed all your classes while you're up to that point. But we had this thing that was called like early out. So like, what was it like maybe like around like 12 or 1 o'clock? Like you could just leave. Like you could just early out and leave. And me and like three or four of my friends, we would, we'd say, fuck this shitty school lunch. And we just like sit through lunch. And then once lunch was over, we would just leave and we'd go grab some Taco Bell or some shit like that. Most of the time it was T-Bell. And I remember one day, me and one of my buddies, Jake, and it's like three or four of us, we go into this Taco Bell and like we're zooted out of our minds because that was like, just business as usual at this point. And we were sitting down there and we're like, we go inside to eat. So we get our stuff and everything. And we're sitting there eating. This lady, man, I don't know if she had like a coupon or if they charged her. I don't know. It was some crazy shit. And she was like from the time we got there, right? Until the time we left and ate everything and threw everything away. She was just there like arguing with this woman at the register. And it was like over like 10 cents or something like that, or maybe like 15 cents. And she's like, oh, you can't be doing this or whatever. Dude, we're like roasted. And one of my buddies, Jake, he comes up there and he's just like, he has like $1 and he goes, here, will this satisfy everything? She's like, no, it's not about that. It's about the purpose. And dude, she just like started like banshee squealing at my boy Jake. And dude, we just like walked out laughing. And dude, you could tell the chick behind the counter, dude, she loved it. We definitely made her day. She's just like sitting there getting drilled by this like fucking like desk jockey lady or whatever the hell she did, dude. It was terrible. I felt so bad for that service worker, like any service worker, especially nowadays, dude. Holy shit, man. I feel even worse for teachers nowadays. I'm sure it's like it's just been really popular, like that. I guess it was originally a TikTok video. This guy talking about how poor kids were doing. They're talking about like how they just keep pushing them ahead, and dude, that shit used to happen like right when I was in the middle of high school. Like there were like some kids that were getting past, like it's like the No Child Left Behind thing. And I remember all of our teachers were like terrified because they're like, well, if we fail, or too many kids fail whatever test or whatever it is, like the standardized testing, like if they fail, like they can come in there, fire all the teachers and like replace everyone. Like everyone's just like fear mongered into like pushing the dumbest kids through. But on that same note, bro, there was one guy that really fit this description, dude. I think back, dude, I a maybe a junior or a senior in high school. There's this guy, Mr. Carnes, dude. This guy did not give a shit. It like you just pretty much went into the class and we just sat there, dude. We literally just sat there. He would chill at his desk, man. He was this old guy. And he would just like we just like wouldn't do anything. Like I am not joking. We would just sit there, go to lunch, come back, and then leave. So I think one of the students complained. Like he also had tenure too, so he wasn't like gonna get fired or anything. He was just waiting to retire. And one of the kids, I guess, told their parents like, "Hey, this guy's like not doing anything. This class sucks. Like I feel like it's a waste of time." So like wind came about, like like people got word or whatever, and dude, he started making us right. Dude, he started making us write like, oh my god, dude, we just had like the overhead projector. I don't even know if that's a thing anymore. It's been so long since I've been in fucking high school, so I have no clue. But it's like an overhead projector, and he's like projecting shit up on the board. And dude, we would just have to copy everything down. Like he wouldn't teach anything or nothing. We would just have to copy it down, right? And this guy would just like see that you did like just copied stuff. Like it was just straight busy work. He was just seeing that you're writing stuff down, and he would just check it off and give you 100. And he would just like, well, if you're not gonna, he's like, some people just don't think that there's enough work in here. So dude, it was awful after that. I was like, dude, like he was doing the thing where he turns the entire class against who everyone's talking shit, and everyone was like, dude, who the fuck said something? This shit sucks ass. Because if he caught you not actually writing, he wouldn't read it. So like I'd kind of just like, just kind of skim through the notes and kind of jot it down and just kind of bullshit a little bit, because I think this was like before like smartphones were really popping off. This was literally like, I think I got my first like Droid like right at the maybe like 20, when did I graduate? Like 2000, like this had to be like 2009. It was like a year after high school that I remember getting an actual smartphone, or they just started really coming out other than the iPhone. Because back in the day, I feel like there were some phones that were they're kind of smartphone-ish, but they weren't quite there yet. And I think like the iPhone was really like the only technical like smartphone that was out at the time for a little while. And man, there are a couple of teachers that are actually just, we had a super shitty school, but dude, I have no idea why some of those teachers even stuck around, because I felt like they could have made a lot more money or just had a lot better of a career if they did literally anything else. But dude, one teacher I remember, dude, Miss Cooper, bro, she was like the G. She was so fucking awesome. She was a like your keyboard, like if you took keyboarding, she was like, I think it was like keyboarding 1 and 2, maybe there's like a third one, but we ended up going, and I went in there for like web design, and it was kind of like we learned some stuff about web design like way back in the day, and you just like try to fuck with your fucking MySpace back in the day with it. But dude, she was awesome because this is back when McDonald's had like, it was like sausage biscuits, like it was like 2 for $1 or something like that, dude. She would like get a fucking like huge ass bag, man, of, I mean, there would be like 20 sausage biscuits in there, dude. And she'd just like have them chilling, like she'd get them in the mornings, have them chilling there, because like some kids just like were broke as fuck and couldn't even like afford like the shitty school lunch. So she would just like have those on deck. So if you swung by in the morning before class started, shit, dude, I'd come in there and skip hella class. So it was really skipping class. I'm like, oh, I'm working on my whatever. And she'd like sign off on it. She was like super cool. And dude, that actually brings me to another story. There's one time it was she was, also in charge, or the computer club was essentially part of her, like she was like essentially over it, right? And I remember one time, it's like maybe we had like a once a year, or like maybe it was the first year we did it. We did a trip to Six Flags. Like, I can't remember which Six Flags. Maybe we went to Georgia. I can't remember. We went a ways away, So like we this is actually a blast. So we end up going to I'm trying to think when it was. We go to our hotel at one point. Maybe this was I think it was like first we go to our hotel, get set up and everything. And dude, like in the computer club, there are two sets of kids, right? They're the ones like me and like a big group of my friends. We played Magic the Gathering. We gamed, watched anime, all that stuff. But we like hung out, chill. We like to drink a little bit, hang out, just vibe. But then you had like the other section, and some people want to call them like weebs, but bro, they didn't even deserve that. I would just call them the bottom feeder kids, dude. They were like never bathed, dude. Just like super annoying as shit, dude. Like when we had that trip, like it was just like a huge divide between the classes. It was like the chill kids that were kind of getting fucked up, and we were just like gaming in our rooms and whatever. And then there were these kids, and we are like always trying to like. I remember when we did this, like we had like one guy brought like a bottle of vodka. We had some smoke going on. We like had the shower going and everything because I guess that is supposed to like stop the smell or the smoke from hitting the fire alarms. I don't really remember, but we were doing that at the time. And dude, I remember we're like crushing liquor, hanging out and stuff. And so like I'm saying, our teacher, she was kind of over the whole thing, and we go downstairs, and me and a couple of friends, and we're like, dude, like they had like a vending machine, in the lobby of the hotel and all that stuff, and we're like, dude, we need to get some like munchy food, stuff like that, and we like go down there, we're like, we hit the old Spice or the Axe body spray or whatever the fuck it was, just to like keep it cool. We go down there, and she's just on her laptop. I think maybe her husband was there with her, but she's just like on her laptop, just like pecking away or doing something. And she's like, and we're just like, we're kind of like play it cool. We walk by her, and we're buying our stuff. We buy like 20 bags of chips. We like raid this vending machine. We're like walking back upstairs. She's like, hey boys, or hey guys, like, she's like, don't think I don't know what's going on, but y'all be safe up there. We're like, yeah, dude, totally. Dude, she rocked. Dude, I'll never forget trying to dodge those like bottom feeder kids though. It was just they're like, "Oh, what are you guys doing in here?" We're like, "Don't worry about nothing, dude." And we just like blow past them and I'll go into the room and chill and game and shit. And also, one last topic. I was gonna get off here, but I I've gotten obsessed with Cobra JFS, man. Like it's like I I almost like how do I even put this? I can't. It's like a car crash you can't look away from. Like, and the thing is, it's like him and Wings of Redemption. I don't know if I could ever full on watch like one of their live streams, like sitting down watching it. But when you watch the people that repurpose their content and like edit it so it's like more watchable and digest, like you can digest it, it's so much more enjoyable. Like, dude, Wings of Redemption getting like the way he treats streaming is absolutely hilarious, dude. The guy's just like, all right, got to make $100 a day, and he just like sits there. Dude, it's like, what's going on here? That he just like hate watches other streamers doing better. The dude is hilarious. But dude, Cobra, he started making like gel wine in his apartment, dude. It's getting kind of wild. Like, it is kind of funny and goofy and gross. It's like it's so many senses are assaulted when you watch these like this content, but at the same time, you're like, there's a piece of me that wants these guys to like find something and do better with themselves or like come out on the other side. It'd be dope to have like a challenge go in there and try to like get Cobes, dude. Try to like like give him a makeover, dude. Try to teach him some things about life, like see if he like, I don't know, I feel like he's too far gone, especially with the prison wine that he's making in his house now, man. That is crazy. So many people are they're always spamming like botulism and stuff. I'm like, dude, we're gonna literally see this guy die. Like, this is crazy. Like, I really hope he turns a new leaf or something like that, man, because I don't know, man. It's like I see people who watch him that are probably pieces of shit, just like truly asshole trolls who like wish harm upon him. There's some people who are just like watching the car crash, just like or just watching this the absurdity of what's happening. Because dude, it's like a weird like I don't even know what to say. It's like you just start watching, you're like, oh shit, and then it starts popping up in your recommended. You're like, oh shit, this happened. But anyway, enough with the I don't know, the like the bottom of the barrel of YouTube or like the golden peak of YouTube. I don't even know what it could be considered either one with that. But till next time, I actually cleared some space off the old hard drive. So I'm gonna, if this video doesn't have it, I'm putting up some Red Dead gameplay. I'm really liking that game. Such a masterpiece. Like it's just like such a refresher. Like I said, just play a good game, man. Like I felt like I've been numbed so hard, and you like sit down and you're like, oh wow, like I'm not just trying to run around and do objectives. Like I'm like sitting in it, like I'm getting the immersion's nice. But hey, that's it for now, and until next time, take it easy, gamers.